It was just an ordinary day in America. Betty, a social worker, and Barney, a U.S. postal employee, were driving home after their honeymoon in Niagara Falls. A trip, as their niece Kathleen explains, they would never forget.
Betty and Barney had a wonderful time in Niagara Falls. They spent the following afternoon in Montreal. They thought about spending the night downtown, but they heard that there was a hurricane whirling up the coast. And they wanted to drive through the night if they could. I was 13 years old, and I had arrived home from school in the afternoon. My mother was on the phone with my Aunt Betty, and I heard my mother's side of the conversation. When my mother hung up the phone, she told me that Betty and Barney had seen a flying saucer up close the night before. They were concerned that they might have been contaminated. I was in shock. I thought this was very, very strange.
Hello, which one have I got on the line, or have I got your both?
You have us both on.
Oh, how wonderful. Hello, that's you, Barney?
Yes, that's correct.
And Betty, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Betty?
This is a 1966 radio interview with Betty and Barney, in their own words.
Now, as I understand it, we have to go back to 1961 to start this whole incident, don't we?
Yes, that's right. September 19th, 1961.
The night that changed their lives forever.
When we, traveling south on Route 3, arrived in an area called Lancaster, New Hampshire, Betty called my attention to an object or a star that she had been watching.
As I was watching, this star seemed to be getting larger and brighter.
Mm-hmm.
And as we rode along, I kept watching it, and then all of a sudden, I noticed that it had started to move. And we decided to stop, get out of the couch, and take a look at it.
I told her that it was probably a satellite. Nothing to get alarmed about.
Betty had never seen a satellite before. She knew that her father was very interested in satellites, and so Betty wondered, could this be a satellite? But then she thought, no, it's not behaving like a satellite.
She then passed the binoculars to me and said, well, you must really look at this satellite because it's not behaving as we would expect a satellite to behave like.
It's clear at this point this was not a satellite. It does a circle. It seems to fly away to the west and then come back directly towards them.
Barney is coming up with the other explanations. Maybe it's a passenger jet. Maybe it's a military helicopter. He's got all these explanations because that's how he thinks.
And surprisingly, this, what I thought was a satellite, began coming in my direction at a very rapid rate of speed. Well, this caused me to become quite alarmed. And I told my wife, well, apparently it is not a satellite, it must be a passenger plane. And they obviously are looking at us, and I felt uncomfortable to see this, what I thought was a plane, come in our direction. So I returned to the car, and so did she, and we drove down the highway.
Privately, he knew that this was unusual, but he said to Betty, oh, it's just a Piper Cub or a commercial airliner. Don't even think about that. And let's get home.
But then, as they continue driving south, Betty notices The aircraft appears to be stalking them.
Betty said to Barney, "It's coming closer, Barney." As they looked at it, it flew in a zigzag pattern, and then it appeared to bounce back and forth in the sky like a ping pong ball.
Barney starts to panic.
Well, from this point, I was getting quite frightened because of this, and I thought it must have been military pilots. They could obviously see us on the ground with the lights of the car on. I thought they were playing a game with us out there.
Up until now, the sighting had been at quite a distance. But now that they've driven down the road several miles and they look up and it's still there, fear starts to settle in. It knows that we're here. They're thinking this has a particular interest in us. There's no other cars on the highway, and this light is getting brighter and it's getting closer.
They followed us for approximately 30 miles. And then in an area called Indian Head, it left the top of the mountain, came out over the highway, and stopped midair on the highway right in front of us.